Right now at 5, it's day 2 of the NFL draft. The potential picks to be made tonight by the Green Bay Packers.
The Democratic National Committee is changing its strategy, what they're doing to bring more support to state parties.
Plus, a local elementary school is at risk of losing a teacher. What one school board member is doing to address parents' concerns. Welcome to News 3 Now at 5. Well, it is day 2 of the NFL draft with rounds 2 and 3 set to take place tonight.
We have crews up in rainy Green Bay. They're getting hazard pay up there tonight, gathering the sights, sounds, and the updates. Let's go out to our Eric Franke and our Packers expert, Jason Wilde, as the fans begin heading into Lambeau Field. Hi, guys.
Hey, Susan, it's been a steady line of fans continuing to go. We won't be like we saw last night, but there's going to be a pretty good crowd, all things considered, for what the weather's been like for the last several hours, really all day here. And I was thinking about this. With all those fans waiting last night, there was no way he wasn't going to make a pick, right? We knew they were going to make a pick, but you said he was tempted, wasn't he, to maybe trade and get some more picks?
Yeah, Brian Gutekunst was definitely tempted. There were some offers. You saw the Atlanta Falcons trade their first-round pick later in the draft and next year's first-round pick. I'm sure that tempted Goody when they called. But look, this was a great moment all across the board, from Mark Murphy to Matthew Golden. I am glad that it worked out the way it did, because it was really cool to see.
It was really nice. They pulled it off, and anything that happens now, you know, is gravy, because it was a magical night. There's no doubt about it. And Jason will be back with me in about 10 minutes or so. We're going to look ahead to tonight, rounds 2 and 3, very crucial picks for the Packers to meet some needs. Jason will talk a little bit more about that. And for now, we're going to go to Andrew Banstro, who's standing by near the draft stage with more on the NFL draft down there. Andrew?
Yeah, Eric and Jason, what an incredible moment that was last night. And in Matthew Golden, the Packers got the fastest player, the fastest receiver in this year's NFL draft class. In addition to that, he also has some of the best hands. But for Brian Gutekunst, it's not even all about that. It's about the off-the-field stuff that he values in Matthew Golden, mostly that he fits their culture like a golden glove.
Really excited to bring Matthew into the fold. I think he's going to do a lot of things for us. He's just obviously he's a very gifted athlete, gifted football player, but he's also just wired exactly how we want our guys in the locker room. And I think he's going to fit in really well.
I never felt nothing like it, man. It was. I wish I could go back out there right now, man. It was so cool, you know, the energy that the Packer fans got, man. You know, I could just feel it, and you know, I'm so excited to be here. I'm glad the organization picked me.
Now, Golden was the first wide receiver the Packers have drafted in the first round since 2002, something their new pass catcher said made this feel even more special, and it meant even more to him. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, these Packer fans around here, they certainly felt the same way. That moment was absolutely magical. We'll have more on just how special this entire weekend has been coming up at 6. For now, we send it back to you in the studio. Coming from Lambeau Field, Andrew Banstro with News 3 Sports.
Thank you, Andrew. We will see you at 6. And here's some good news for Andrew and everybody else. The rain will slowly stop over the coming hours.
Meteorologist Blaze Keller is out on the patio when things will clear out. Blaze?
Later tonight, that's when we're expecting the rain to wrap up today. And then we sit underneath quiet conditions. Plenty of sunshine for your Saturday. So if you're going to be up in Lambeau for the last day of the draft, it is going to be a more pleasant day all around, and that extends down here into southern Wisconsin as well. Near the Stoughton area, that's where we do find some lingering rain showers in parts of Dane County, also into parts of Rock County, back north into Hilford, north into Beaver Dam. That continues to make its way into parts of Lake Michigan. The rain is beginning to wrap up in the Green Bay area, but we still find some showers near Fond du Lac, also into Manitowoc and Sheboygan, all along the Lake Michigan shoreline. These will continue to taper off, not only the rain, but also the cloud cover as we go further overnight. High pressure is going to be moving on in. That's going to help cool us down a little bit and keep us seasonal and sunny as we go into Saturday. We're looking at temperatures into the 50s and 60s for your weekend. We're also talking about those alert day conditions Monday and Tuesday. Severe weather looking more likely across parts of the Midwest and the Plains, especially here in Wisconsin Monday evening into early Tuesday. We've got the details on that severe weather threat coming up in the full forecast.
Thank you, Blaze. Students at Toki Middle School are walking out in protest. The protest began at about 4 this afternoon. Students are protesting the Trump administration's policies, including the anti-immigration laws, while also supporting their fellow LGBTQ+ classmates.
2 people are in custody tonight, and 1 person is hurt after a police chase on the Beltline. It all started last night when Monona police tried to pull over the driver of a stolen car near the Monona Quick Trip. The driver sped off onto the Beltline. They got off on Rimrock Road, where the driver crashed into a minivan. 1 person in the minivan suffered non-life-threatening injuries. The driver faces multiple charges, including an OWI. Police arrested the passengers for their involvement in the crash.
The FBI says a Milwaukee County judge has been arrested on obstruction charges. In a now deleted post on X, the agency's director, Kash Patel, says Judge Hannah Dugan intentionally misdirected federal agents away from an immigrant who was set to be arrested in her courthouse. Dugan is being charged with 2 counts, obstructing or impeding a proceeding before a federal department or agency, and concealing an individual to prevent his discovery or arrest.
The very public arrest of this judge that happened in the cafeteria at the courthouse just a couple miles that way shows the contempt and disregard that Trump and FBI Director Kash Patel have for our judiciary. What did the FBI Director go and do this morning after this arrest? He gloated about it on Twitter. That is absolutely unacceptable.
Patel says the man, Eduardo Flores Ruiz, was later arrested and is currently being detained.
Governor Tony Evers released a statement today condemning the arrest of Judge Dugan. In a post on X, the governor said, quote, "The Trump administration repeatedly uses dangerous rhetoric to attack and attempt to undermine our judiciary." Meanwhile, Assembly Republicans are pledging swift action against Judge Dugan if charges are confirmed.
Across the country, Americans who oppose the Trump administration's policies have been showing up to Democratic lawmakers' town halls demanding some kind of action.
Now the Democratic National Committee is adjusting its strategy. Here's how.
This will be a true game changer.
What would you do with an extra $17 grand each month? That's the question state Democratic parties will now get to answer.
We are sending a strong message that our party is building from the ground up, and we're building everywhere.
It's called the State Partnership Program, a new way for the Democratic National Committee to invest in state parties. $17,500 for all state Democratic parties, plus another $5,000 for those in Republican-controlled states each month for the next 4 years. All told, it's the largest investment in state parties in the history of the DNC.
There are states that have 3 or 4 staff. Some have fewer than that. And getting an extra $5,000 or $10,000 a month can mean just a quantum leap in what they're able to achieve.
The DNC is turning to a familiar game plan to retake the White House, one conjured up by...
And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House! Ah!
The butt of jokes in 2004, Howard Dean got the last laugh in 2008 when he was DNC chair.
CBS projects that Senator Barack Obama of Illinois will be the next president of the United States.
That win came in part thanks to Dean's 50-state strategy, investing and organizing in every state, not just battlegrounds.
The reason that the Democrats have had a tough time is because if you're not out there doing the grassroots politics, you don't win, period.
In Wisconsin, Wickler says that work is already underway and paying off, with Liberal candidate Susan Crawford winning the race for state Supreme Court earlier this month.
We've been organizing everywhere in every zip code across the state of Wisconsin on a continual basis.
He hopes the DNC's newest investments will help other states follow suit.
And I think there's a lesson there for the whole country, that it pays off in the short run and the long run to establish a presence and never disappear.
Reporting in Madison, Brady Mallory, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Brady.
Yeah, you're welcome.
The State Partnership Program will also fund training camps for state parties and 5 new regional directors for the Association of State Democratic Committees.
The Trump administration has dropped a multi-state legal challenge which could have impacted thousands of international students. International students sued the administration after ICE canceled thousands of international students' immigration records. Those records are used by schools to make sure students are meeting the requirements of their visas. The Justice Department says records are being reinstated for students who sued.
Well, if you're a parent with a student in the Madison school district, you may have heard your child's teacher could be moving to a different school. That's because of the annual staffing allocation process. It's a method the district uses to evaluate if one school is growing more than another and therefore needs more resources.
News 3 Now's Ellie LaLiberté introduces us to a Lapham Elementary parent who is taking his concerns about that process to the school board.
Moore's daughter is a first grader at Lapham Elementary, and like many parents in the grade,
we're mad.
During the district's annual allocation process, a second grade teacher is being cut from his school. So his daughter's class size will go from 16 this year to about 27 next year.
These are 7-year-olds. These are kids that need the kind of level of attention that you need for very little kids.
But the kids in his daughter's class aren't too little to be worried.
It'd be harder to learn and hear in the class.
Parents like Rudy have taken their concerns to school board members like Nikki Vandermeulen.
I've heard those concerns. I've gotten the emails. I've gotten the phone calls.
She also has an issue with the way the district does its allocations.
Problem is that the board isn't allowed to vote on these allocations and often doesn't have any say in it.
That's why she's proposing several movements, one of which would give Lapham back that second grade teacher.
These are taxpayer dollars, and the board is elected to make decisions that are budgetary in nature.
The district could not accommodate an interview on Friday, but in a previous press release said that the goal is to adjust staffing to support where it is most needed while remaining flexible. But Vandermeulen is calling for more voices in that process.
We have to have the board involved so that way we're not just patching holes and fixing things after they've already happened.
MMSD needs to change their allocation process to be more transparent and then not to push us right against the limits this far out before the school year has even started.
Reporting in Madison, Ellie LaLiberté, News 3 Now.
Vandermeulen's movements could be heard at the board next meeting. No staff members are fired in this process. Well, coming up next at 5, Blaze shows us the nice weekend ahead.
And rounds 2 and 3 of the NFL draft are tonight. What can we expect from the Packers after their round 1 pick? That's coming up.
And on Wall Street today, there's a slight increase across the board. The Dow is up 20 points, the Nasdaq jumping by 217, and the S&P 500 rising by 40. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
Pretty exciting stuff last night, and tonight rounds 2 and 3 of the NFL draft will take place in Green Bay.
Now, the Packers have already selected a wide receiver during round 1. For more on what we can expect from the green and gold tonight, let's head back up north. That's where we find Eric Franke and our Packers expert, Jason Wilde. Guys, can you hear us?
Well, we are in the final moments now before this draft gets started for day 2. Jason Wilde joining us once again. And what's needed in rounds 2 and 3? We start with round 2, starting in about, well, what is it, half hour or so?
So it's going to be hard to top the excitement of Matthew Golden last night, which, by the way, I'm going to warn our Channel 3000 readers. I am going to be wearing out green and golden, golden ticket, golden boy, all those little not so clever headlines. But look, that the excitement and the fact that he filled their clearest, biggest need on offense was huge. Now it's time to flip to the defense. They need help on their defensive line. They have the 54th and 87th picks tonight. So the 54th in the second round, 87 in the third round. They've got to get some help on their defensive line. They do need offensive line help too. Maybe that's something for tomorrow. And I still think they need to add to the cornerback position. It's not as dire of a need. They like Carrington Valentine. They like Keyshawn Nixon. But they do need to, I think they'll go defensive tonight. I'll be surprised if they don't.
All right, yeah, and they need a pass rusher, right? You got to get to the quarterback in this league.
You know, my hope, again, going back to my golden headlines on Channel 3000, there's a guy named Mike Green who's available, and he was the most productive pass rusher in college football last year in the FBS level. So Green and Golden on back-to-back days. Goodness. What do you think?
we're going to get tired of your writing with this stuff. My goodness, you're just hoping for these lines. Going back to last night, though, it was a special night. And really, Mark Murphy played it pretty well.
He did. He was great. I mean, I'm just so glad that, as we talked about earlier, you know, Brian Gutekunst did have some very appealing trade offers. Had he traded, they would have moved back. They would have still been in the first round, but they also would have been, it would have been different. It would have been a different player. It would have been a different vibe. The fact that they cracked the 23-year streak of not having a wide receiver drafted in the first round and do it in such dramatic form, that was pretty great.
Read more from Jason at channel3000.com. The weather has cleared, and I know you've got a forecast to get to back in Madison, but I think they're ready for the draft tonight, and the fans will keep coming.
You need to get yourselves one of those green and gold ponchos that I've seen people wearing. Oh, thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Well, showers will last through the evening, but there is a nice weekend ahead for the region.
Here's Blaze with a look at the weekend forecast.
That's right. We're looking at more sunshine for Saturday, a little bit more cloud cover Sunday with a few showers moving on in, but Saturday looking very seasonal, 50s and 60s, after eventually becoming more quiet tonight. The rain showers will continue to taper off through the rest of this evening. Cloud cover is going to thin from northwest to southeast as a high pressure system moves on in. And then we get ready for that severe weather threat on Monday. Alert date conditions for Monday, especially Monday night into Tuesday for all of southern Wisconsin. We're likely going to be dealing with a number of severe thunderstorms with all severe weather threats possible with this latest system expected to move through parts of the plains and the Midwest. This is likely going to be the atmospheric setup as we go Monday into Tuesday. A large low pressure system, its cold front, its warm front to our north. We find a 15% threat here in the yellow and a 30% threat here in the orange. Now, if we take this in closer, you'd see most of our coverage area is underneath that 30% threat, which is likely going to lead to those severe thunderstorms evolving as we go into your Monday late afternoon, early evening, and continuing overnight. I think that this is likely going to happen. Severe thunderstorms, a squall line of showers, thunderstorms, and severe thunderstorms develops off to our west, maybe along 35 there, stretching from Albert Lee down to Kansas City. This is where the primary wind threat and hail threat is likely going to be. But what we sometimes see out ahead of a strong squall line are what we call discrete thunderstorms, discrete supercell thunderstorms. These are initially going to pose the greatest tornado threat because tornadic supercells, they like to be alone. They don't like to be in a group of thunderstorms. They like to have all of the atmospheric ingredients to themselves. They're like the hungriest kid at lunch. All they want to do is eat, so they try to be by themselves for as long as they can. And that's why they pose the greatest tornadic threat. We're going to watch to see where this squall line develops. If it's further to our west, these tornadic supercells will likely be further to the west as well. If that line is a little bit further east, we may see some of those discrete cells closer to the Mississippi River moving into southwestern Wisconsin. All of these storms are going to be moving eastward as we go overnight Monday into Tuesday. So we're going to likely see an evening, overnight, early Tuesday morning severe weather threat across southwestern Wisconsin and across the rest of our viewing area. So stay with News 3 now. We will keep you updated because all severe weather threats are going to be possible. That includes strong winds, large hail, as well as tornadoes. And the Storm Prediction Center has used the wording strong tornadoes are possible. So we will, of course, keep you updated as we go into your Monday. Clear to mostly clear conditions, on the other hand, for Saturday. Get out and enjoy it. A very seasonal day. Plenty of sunshine. Soak up as much sun as you can. Sunday, we add a little bit more cloud cover and maybe a scattered shower or two. The severe thunderstorm threat Monday into Tuesday, and then we quiet down for the most part from the middle of next week through that following weekend.
Thanks, Blaze. After the break, a Wisconsin family is marking the NFL draft by going to the cemetery. How they're honoring a lost loved one's commitment to football.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5, moving forward.
A Wisconsin family marked the kickoff of the NFL draft with a visit to the cemetery.
They were there to honor a man who wrote the league to ask for a rule change and always hoped the draft would come to Green Bay. Jamal James has the story.
Just across the river at Alloway Catholic Cemetery, a family is honoring their loved one, Henry Clark, a longtime Packers fan, by watching his dream of the NFL draft coming to Green Bay.
The draft was everything to him. Right after the Super Bowl, contact all of us and say, start getting your draft board together.
Getting the big old family together for football, memories, and a special cake made by his wife, Marlene. This family carries this tradition, with Henry's grandson saying it always feels like the Super Bowl.
His last words actually to me was keep the draft tradition alive. So just kind of the idea of getting everyone together today was for him.
Before Henry passed away in 2014, he wrote to the NFL saying, though the Super Bowl may never be in Green Bay, that doesn't mean the NFL draft can't be. The very next year, the NFL announced the event will rotate among all 32 teams instead of being held in New York.
So he never got to experience the draft changing from city to city. So it's just kind of cool. I mean, I'm sure there's other people who wrote letters out there, but it's just, for us, it's like, our grandpa kind of got it here.
With his son Bob saying if his father could see this now, there would be one thing he would say.
Bobby, who do you think they're picking tonight? But also a huge smile on his face because we believe he got it here.
Very nice. Well, we'll have a final check of the weather when we return.
Coming up at 6, at 6 or 10?
We'll find out.
High school sports in Wisconsin could be changing forever. We'll look at how name, image, and likeness deals may impact aspiring athletes. That's tonight at 10
But you can also watch 6.
Yes,
you can watch
please
both.
do
We're
watch
here
the
for you,
6.
everyone. And Blaze is here for you with the forecast.
Yes, and at 6, Alex will be in, and he's going to continue to talk about our severe weather threat on Monday. In the meantime, Saturday looking beautiful, upper 50s to low 60s, pretty seasonal, light winds. I couldn't ask for better weather when I turn 33. There is a look at your 7 and 10 day forecast. Severe weather Monday evening into Tuesday, and then we sit quietly as we round out next week.
Saturday or Sunday is your birthday?
Saturday.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Hope to see you back here at 6.